Let's get sweaty.
Hello there, welcome to the Shenmue Dojo Show. This is a podcast companion to the 20-plus year-long running Shenmue fan site. In the coming weeks, you will be seeing a raft of content as we cover the exciting upcoming Shenmue the anime. For all our new and existing listeners, we wanted to explain what the Shenmue series is and why its fanbase is rampant and dedicated. So, firstly, I am James Brown, co-owner at ShenmueDojo.com, and as usual, I'm joined by Matthew Oliver, also the co-owner of ShenmueDojo.com. So, Matt, just quickly, what is Shenmue Dojo?
Shenmue Dojo. Wow, I'm gonna have to condense this down because it's huge. So ShenmueDojo.com or Shenmue Dojo is a over 20-year-old Shenmue resource community and fan site. It was launched a long time ago by a man called Andy Bandos, who has obviously handed this off to other people through the years, and now James and I have taken the honour of owning the place and running it. So we have the biggest collection of Shenmue media archived from the years. I'm talking news articles, I'm talking history, I'm talking videos, I'm talking games, I'm talking magazine clippings. You name it, we've got it. And that's also including fan mods, fan games. It is the biggest Shenmue archive on the internet, and I can't stress that enough. We also host the biggest discussion forum for Shenmue, which is the Shenmue Dojo forums. Again, it's been part of the site for as long as the site has been in existence. And this is where users come together to discuss the Shenmue community, the Shenmue theories, the games, the upcoming anime, and everything else around Shenmue. But beyond all of that and our roots in the forums and the main website, we also have a presence on social media. So you can catch us on Twitter, which is Shenmue_Dojo. You can catch us on Facebook, which is just standard Shenmue Dojo. Instagram is Shenmue_Dojo. We also have a TikTok, Shenmue Dojo, on there as well, which you might find some funny videos on there. We're on Twitch, Shenmue Dojo as well. This is getting quite repetitive, but you get the idea. And we also have a huge YouTube channel where it features a wealth of regularly updated content, and it ranges from game music, gameplay, live streams from James and I, or Titch Live, who streams for us. We have an unboxing series where I go and unbox various new and old products from the Shenmue merchandise arena. We have our podcast on there with video counterparts to that. So if you want sort of a nice addition to the podcast and what you listen to, go over there, go to our YouTube channel. There's a video that always accompanies our podcast each time we do one. We have an interview series on there with key people from the Shenmue world, ranging from the developers to fan and community people as well. It is a raft of content on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to it if you haven't done so already. So I mentioned the podcast, and the podcast is essentially a long-form podcast series called the Shenmue Dojo Show, and we discuss topics from within the Shenmue world in long-form style discussion. Quite often go sort of good couple of hours where we really break down the nitty-gritty of the topics that we talk about. So if you've got a nice long road trip ahead and you want to put something nice and soothing on, that's exactly where you need to find it. But we also expand out into the Shenmue world in terms of the community, in terms of people, key figures, and everything else in between. But speaking about Shenmue world, and this is well known to people within the community, we also self-produce, or James rather, self-produces our very own fan magazine, which again consists of a wealth of content from many individuals throughout the community. Issue 1 had Eric Calso in it, for example. There's fan art, there's fan articles, there's everything and more in that magazine, and a new issue will be on its way very, very shortly, but I'll leave that as it was. But also the sort of latest addition to the Dojo platform is our blog page, which has just literally started up as we're recording this right now, and we're going to be going into some weekly posts around the anime in terms of weekly recaps and what we think is going to happen next, and also some detail around the lore around the anime and what what other bits and pieces have come around the Shenmue community as well. Hiki, one of our staff members, is going to be working on one element of that, and we do have somebody else lined up from the community ready to start posting for us this time next week, so keep your eye out for that as well. What we always try to do, and James will back this up as well, is we always try to break the news that comes out from the Shenmue world as quickly as possible, but we also hold ourselves to a really, really high standard in terms of professionalism, in terms of the way we conduct ourselves as diehard fans of the series, and also I think representatives of the community. We hold ourselves to a certain standard, and if we fall below that standard, we kick ourselves for it. We want to be up there in top quality content, top quality news, and top quality everything to give the community best possible news, factual stance, and bring a fair view on Shenmue. But I suppose the burning question we have here for new listeners who've probably discovered us through finding the anime and finding the trailers is, James, what is Shenmue?
Good stuff there, Matt. So, Shenmue was a game or game series created by Sega and arcade pioneer Yu Suzuki. It began life as a Virtua Fighter RPG destined for the Sega Saturn as early as 1993 after the success of Virtua Fighter in the arcades. And it was a game that was in development for the Sega Saturn at one point, which we have glimpses of that in video form out there on the Dojo YouTube channel. It was also an unlockable on Shenmue 2, the game, which we'll talk about in a moment. But beyond that, Shenmue actually made its way to the Sega Dreamcast in 1999. And it was a groundbreaking game since it was one of the first of its kind, which actually coined a brand new genre that Yu Suzuki gave to Shenmue called Free, which is fully reactive eyes entertainment. You could think of that genre these days as what eventually became known as an open world type of game from similar games that followed in Shenmue's footsteps. So, Shenmue, on release, it earned the Guinness World Record as the most expensive video game ever created. And in being essentially the first open world game of its kind, it obviously featured a wealth of amazing new gameplay mechanics and designs that players of video games back in the late 90s weren't accustomed to at the time. So some of those gameplay mechanics, you'll see if you actually go out your way to play the original Shenmue games. It features things such as real-time weather change. So that can range from rain changing to snow on a particular day. Obviously the original game takes place around Christmas, the Christmas period, the winter season in Japan. So you get a lot of snow weather, and me and Matt have spoken about it before, how we just love the crunch of the snow as you're playing the game, the sound effects. They really went into the minute details to bring the game an atmosphere. So you can hear birds, you can hear people working away, going in and out of buildings, children playing, you've got dogs barking, you've got crows squawking, and all of that combined with the snow crunch, it just brings an atmosphere that is unparalleled in terms of games. And I don't think that any game has actually come close to that feeling of immersion and all of those minute details that I've just spoke about there to ultimately bring a game that stands the test of time, in my opinion, even today if you went back and played the original games. I mentioned the NPCs there. They also had their own daily schedule and routine. So if you just walking around the streets of Dobuita in Shenmue's world, you'll see NPCs opening shops. Daytime in the morning, you see them unlocking the doors, going into the shops, turning the signs, so from closed to open. And then at night, obviously, as the night time sets in, you see them switch lights on, shut doors, and lock things up for the night as they go home, and you can follow them home back to the houses, which again was an unbelievable feat back in those days for all of that sort of code content and whatever to fit on a disc. It just blew people's minds back in those days. And that is without saying all of the fully voiced dialogue for all 337 characters of Shenmue 1 and 700 plus of Shenmue 2, which is insane. You can go back to characters throughout the game and they've got their own unique dialogue at that point in time. Go back again later, they say something different. Speak to them multiple times, they say different things. So to have that much voice content was amazing for its time. You've got cinematic cutscenes that almost feel like you're playing a movie at times. And this is all while being probably the most graphical showcase of a video game at the time, making jaws hit the ground in sheer amazement. For gamers that owned a Sega Dreamcast and played through the first game, they were treated to the start of an epic storyline set place in Yokosuka, Japan, which then leads to Hong Kong and China with Shenmue 2, which was a game that was worked on in tandem with Shenmue 1, and it was released just 2 short years later. And what Yu Suzuki and the team did with Shenmue 2 was to expand upon the first game, refining some of its flaws and make it a little bit easier to play. The scope of the game was on another level, so you've got the small hometown of Ryo's hometown in Shenmue 1, and then suddenly Ryo arrives in China, in Hong Kong, in Shenmue 2, and you've got brawling streets. This is like the true open world game of Shenmue, in my opinion. You've got the Hong Kong streets, or a massive open world to explore, and that's just part one. Then it goes to Kowloon, which is another massive open world to explore, and then Guilin, ultimately, which is an area set in China. I won't go too much into that, because obviously you'll be expecting to see that in the anime. Shenmue 2 was again released on Sega's Dreamcast and subsequently Microsoft's Xbox. Shenmue earned many accolades, whilst also earning its critics. But what followed after Shenmue 2 was a few hit and miss decisions from Sega and Yu Suzuki, as they tried to gain substantial income from the Shenmue name in order to make a Shenmue 3. So what they tried was creating an MMO online game called Shenmue Online, which never saw the light of day, and Shenmue City, which was like a mobile application at the time, which was released shortly in Japan for the best part of a year, but ultimately was shut down as well. And so those little blips in Shenmue's timeline there ultimately put the series on hiatus, leaving fans waiting on a cliffhanger, the end of Shenmue 2, for nigh on 15 years. When ultimately Shenmue 3 was announced on E3 2015's Sony stage, and it just blew people away for its exciting revival. Shenmue was the most highly demanded video game for Sony's building list, and that is why it was such an amazing experience to witness Shenmue 3 coming back from the death at E3 2015 there. Shenmue 3 started life as a Kickstarter project, which became the fastest Kickstarter in history to reach 1 million, the fastest Kickstarter to reach its goal of 2 million, and also the most funded video gaming Kickstarter project of all time, earning Suzuki even more Guinness World Records. Fans are eagerly awaiting its anime adaptation and have their fingers crossed for a Shenmue 4, as Shenmue's story is still ongoing and will most likely need at least 5 games for its completion, according to Yu Suzuki. So here is a brief introduction to the anime series based on the opening to the game and anime series. So Shenmue, 1986, Yokosuka. Ryo Hazuki is trained to master the Hazuki-style jujitsu under his strict father in the Hazuki Dojo from his childhood. However, one day a mysterious man named Landy murders his father and takes the mirror his father was protecting. Ryo is determined to find the truth behind his father's murder, but soon finds himself getting stuck in a war between the underground organisations. ... Travelling from Yokosuka to Hong Kong, Ryo's long journey begins. So Matt, can you explain why we're excited for this anime adaptation and all of the details that we know so far?
Oh, now I'm going to have to condense this down and not go off on a massive excited tangent. But what we know about the anime is, first and foremost, it is going to cover all of the first game, so all of Shenmue 1, and it's going to cover what we understand is the vast majority of Shenmue 2. So you're getting a ton of story in the anime. I can't stress that enough. You're getting a ton of story here, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they adapt the games and what we love and know about the games into the anime series. So how are they going to get that atmosphere? How are they going to make it feel like the Shenmue world? Are they going to include cut content, for example, that didn't make it into the games, like we've already seen the karate tournament in the recent trailers? Are we going to get more stuff like that? Key sort of information around it. It's going to be a series of 13 episodes. It's directed by Chikara Sakurai, and Yu Suzuki is the executive producer. So he's been heavily involved with this anime all the way through its inception to the air date, which is not too far away now. The show is going to air on Toonami, which is Adult Swim's anime branch, and worldwide in most countries, Crunchyroll. Adult Swim will have the English dub. Crunchyroll will have the Japanese dub with English subtitles. I don't know whether we're going to get the English dub on Crunchyroll, so just sort of watch this space, and if we get any updates on that, we'll let everybody know through our social media channels. In terms of when it airs, it's going to be airing on the 5th/6th of February, and I'll explain that now. So it will air 9:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the 5th of February, which is 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time on February the 6th, which makes it 5:30 a.m. on February the 6th in the United Kingdom on GMT, again on both platforms. The English dub has been completely recast, and we have the following people already confirmed for that. We have Austin Tyndall, who's done a raft of anime. Just go and look at his IMDb, it's huge. He will be Ria Hazuki. Scott Gibbs, another person who's done a shed load of anime, will be Landy. Natalie Ryle will be Shenhua, and the rest of the English cast have also been recast as well. The Japanese cast is actually held in tradition to the video games, which is really cool to see. Masaya Matsukaze is back as Ria Hazuki. Takahiro Sakurai is back as Landy, and the other actors will be listed very, very shortly. The show is going to air weekly for the 13 episodes, so every week you're going to get another episode. It's not going to release like they do on Netflix where you get the whole lot in one go. It's going to be week to week, and that's because of the TV scheduling over for Toonami, which makes absolute sense. One thing we hope you do, and what we're going to be doing, is we're going to be doing a watch along live stream where James and I will be talking about the episode as it goes through, and we won't be showing footage, of course, because that will get us shut down. But we will be sat talking about the episode, reacting to the episode, and then we'll do some analysis live on stream. We're also going to recap each episode with a weekly podcast where we're going into much more depth around the episode, what's happened, and what we think is going to happen next. And that will be scheduled to release the day before the next anime episode airs. So you'll be looking at either Friday evening UK time or Saturday morning, depending on how quickly we can turn the editing around. But that is a very, very quick summary of the anime. As Shenmue fans of 20 years, I think it's safe to say that James and I are absolutely stoked for this anime. It looks so good. Make sure you go watch the trailers on our YouTube page if you haven't done so already.
So Matt, just quickly, for people new to anime as well, what is Crunchyroll and how can they access Crunchyroll? And also, if you do know the little details on Toonami, how would someone go about watching that particular platform as well?
Okie doke. So Crunchyroll is essentially it's a Netflix for anime. You go onto crunchyroll.com and you can go in there. You can sign yourself up, and I think you can get 2 weeks free at the moment if you sign up directly, or if you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and you cash it in by the 8th of February, you can get 75 days free subscription to it. So it's well worth looking into there. It is available on obviously your PC, but it's available on PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo. Pretty much
TV apps as well.
Yeah, TV apps, the lot. It's available everywhere. So you shouldn't have too much difficulty getting hold of it if you want to go and watch it that way. I did do a very, very quick video of how to sign up to Crunchyroll, which we'll link in the description of this small podcast, so you can quickly, just if you're unsure, should answer some questions there as well. And likewise, we have a frequently asked questions section on our forums if you wanted to check in around sort of some of the more basic questions around the anime, how you watch it, etc. Adult Swim is based in America, basically, so it's an American TV channel, so you can only access the majority of their programming in America, although they do have some UK programming aired on Channel 4 and E4 and More 4, but I would anticipate that the anime will stay stateside. Essentially, it will stay in America. But the best bet for anybody who wants to watch it in English is to somehow find the English dub through Adult Swim. If you're not too bothered, or you want to watch Japanese stuff, then you sign up to Crunchyroll and you'll get the Japanese dub with English subtitles.
Thanks for that. And as far as we know, it's not currently got a release date in Japan. So if you are hoping to watch this from Japan, you may have a little bit of difficulty at the moment until it's actually released in Japan territory as well. Obviously, stay tuned to Shenmue Dojo as we'll give more information as we find it on that. So, if you are actually interested in picking up Shenmue the game series, perhaps you're partway through the anime show now, depending on when you're listening to this, or a newcomer to the series, and you're interested in playing the game series perhaps just before the anime is released, you can do so right now. So Shenmue 1 and 2 is a collection you can find. It comprises the original 2 games, of course, including the title there, and it was released for modern platforms, so you can play it on the PS4, PS5. It's also released on the Xbox One, which means you can play it on Series X, and it also was released on PC, so whether you've got your Steam or whatever client you usually use there, like GOG or other ways of playing that on the PC, I'm sure. If you're interested in playing the original games in their original form, then obviously you can pick up a Sega Dreamcast, and perhaps you can find that and the copies of the game on eBay or another platform similar to that, like a shopping sort of marketplace thing where you might want to pick up second-hand Dreamcast and copies of the game. Shenmue 2 was also released on the original Xbox, like I said earlier, so if you got I think it may even play on your modern Xboxes because it was backwards compatible at one point. So that is the original Xbox version of Shenmue 2 there, which actually includes a bonus disc. Make sure it does when you buy it off eBay or whatever. But there's a bonus disc of Shenmue the movie, which is basically just a compiled playthrough of the original game in an hour and a half, basically. They've got like most of the notable cutscenes and a little bit of gameplay there just to make a bit of a movie. So you can catch up to Shenmue 2 if you want. You could do it that way. But I would suggest trying to play the original game, as it's the greatest game ever made, in my opinion. Shenmue 3, on the other hand, is exclusive to PlayStation in the fact that you can't play on the Xbox. So you can only play Shenmue 3 on PS4, so that means you can play it on a PS5, but it was also released on the PC, so you can play it through Steam or Epic Games, etc. And since the anime is going to be focused on the story from the first 2 games, so obviously Shenmue 3 is going to feature quite a few spoilers for that future second season that we're hoping for as well of the anime. But if you are enjoying the anime series, if you've been intrigued by Shenmue's world from the anime, make sure you pick up the game so you can experience the details of Ryo's hometown and the world of Shenmue 2 as well, and Shenmue 3 of course. So please check out shenmuedojo.com for all your latest Shenmue news updates. Follow us on social media platforms and subscribe to this show either on your choice of podcast provider or over on YouTube, where we release video counterparts with extra contextual footage, like Matt said earlier. It's a great place to listen to the podcasts. You could also check out shenmue-anime.jp for the official anime website, which seems like they're going to be updating that with regular news, and there's a couple of greyed out little areas of the website there which would be interested to see what actually pops up on the website at some point in the future, so keep an eye out on that. And unless you've got anything else to add, Matt?
Have I got anything else to add? The only thing I would add is we really, if you're new to the Shenmue franchise, you discovered us through the anime or discovered us through playing the games, just make sure you check out all of our content. Make sure you get involved with the Shenmue community, because it is a wonderful community out there, and we're very welcoming. More the merrier. And don't forget that we always tweet on the 4th of the month, every month, hashtag Let's Get Shenmue 4, just to let people know that we're not going away and we want that 4th game, regardless of what happens with the anime, which looks stunning.
And you can also join us on the 4th of every month with a live stream.
You can.
In fact, the schedule for the live streams, so you've got the 4th of the month, which me and Matt do, and you can find Titch live stream of the dojo. She's currently streaming Shenmue 3, so obviously if you're coming from the anime series there, it could be a bit spoilery, but she'll be streaming every other week for the dojo. So however that falls in line with where we are, you can find out on our social medias. We post when we go live, so keep an eye out on that to stay up to date with everything that we do as a Shenmue fan site and platform. So thanks for that, Matt. Hopefully that is a short, concise, informative piece that you can share to your friends who might be interested in Shenmue the anime and subsequently the games. We hope that we've helped to explain some of the nitty-gritty questions and provided all of the information that you were wondering about. So, on behalf of myself and Matt, thanks for listening, and we hope that you stick around for all of the other future Shenmue Dojo content that we produce.
Beautiful.
Thanks, and see you soon.
See you later.
Look at the time.